No. And Harvard owns Harvard's nursery brought his skid steer with a 30-inch on because these trees were 2 inch, so the walls were every. It's going. Things are happening, moving in the right direction. Let's put it that way.
Very sense. Holy Father, help us to make the right decisions for the people of Kona County. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Small.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Brady.
Here.
Drummond. Here. Dan present.
To accept the motion to approve minutes from March 2nd and March 9th meetings. Second. Motion by Terry, second by Bill. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We're getting to public comment. I need to add a few things. New business, data management system for the prosecutor. ARPA funds, Wi-Fi upgrade for IT department, ARPA funds, home policy, right, Carolyn? And 911 supervisor life insurance. With that, we're going to public comment. 3 minutes, state your name and your township. Anybody here? Anybody online? Okay. Public comment is closed. Move on to presentations. Jennifer Lewick.
Hello.
Hi.
Back in December, we executed a contract for our family court attorneys. And one of them had asked if we were able to find a substitution for their contract to please do so, which we have now done. So what I'm asking today is that you sign an agreement. It's Steve Eric. He is an attorney practicing here in Kona County, retired out of Kalamazoo. And he's now living up here, and he has a long list of experience with family court, and he's met with Judge Crowley, and he has agreed to take on our contract for the balance from April to December. So he has signed it, Judge Crowley has signed it. I'm just asking for the board to assign as well. Once your signature, and we'll execute that. I'll get to the clerk's office so they're signing it.
Second.
Motion to sign for
With the family, which one's not so
the. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Let's do we need a roll call this second?
It is, we do pay for it.
Let's do. Roll call, please.
Thompson,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Brumman. Yes. Brady.
Yes. Thank you. We're gonna wait service, huh?
Thank you very much. You folks have a good afternoon.
Okay, thank you. Next up, Denise Bear, Kona County Library.
That's, I know I already sent you all a big list of stuff about district libraries, but this is a little bit about what the library does in the last year in general, and then a brief history of the library. The library has been in Kona County since 1940. And currently our library owns the building in Harrisville, which was built in 98. And it also owns the Kona Credit Union in Lincoln Township. We have also signed an agreement and we run the library in the elementary school. So that's the brief. And I can pick up my notes where it is. So anyway, what I'm here to ask you for is basically permission to start a committee to have Curtis Township Library and Kona County Library become a district library. And what that would mean, I'm gonna slow your notes. You know, for the district, the good parts for the library would be that we would become our own vehicle. We would set the tax rate and our policies and personnel policies. Currently, we follow your lead and then we make our own on top of that. The district library is the only way that we could continue to collect Curtis Township Library's millage. Currently, in the county, the library collects 0.5 mils, and that's the entire county. Curtis Township also collects another 0.5 mils. Curtis Township this way would have a say in their district. If we can write up the agreement that way. And then for the library, we would stop paying indirect costs to the county. The cons that I see for a district is that it's a big process and it's scary. The other one is possible changes in employee health benefits and especially the health and the retirement. You know, being in a pool of roughly 60 employees, hopefully lessens the cost. Being a pool of 3, I'm sure it may bring up that cost. Whether we become a district or look into becoming a district, or if we just absorb Curtis Township Library as a branch, both ways, the library would receive the penal fines collected at Curtis Township. And that's about $7,000 for them. Curtis Township Library will be changing their circulation system, and they will change from UP Rock, which is based in Marquette, and they would move over to Northland, which is based in Charlevoix. We will maintain their building and collection and technology, which their building is also built in 1998 like ours, so it's the aging building syndrome, you know, we're doing things like, well, we both put in new roofs, but furnaces and all that fun mechanical stuff. State aid will stay the same because according to our numbers, would still be a class 3 library, and of course that goes to 11,000. We haven't lost enough to go down in numbers. And then there would be possible changes in the board, no matter how we work this out. Retirement is supposedly going to be able to stay the same with costs. I also did put a budget. The yellow is our current budget for this year. The green is how I see it may change. The long and short of it is, if we became a district, we can receive $37,000 more dollars, and we would be paying out, and it's estimates, I'm sure it will change. I believe there was we would 46. We would have, well, we would have more expenses by about 7,000, but we would retain about 30,000. And basically, what I'm asking today is I also sent you a copy of a resolution that you would like to form a planning committee for the library to become a district. Then that committee would do all the policies, who's going to be on the board, whether they're going to be appointed or elected. And then other agreements we would have to get into, like property and who's going to do our accounting, who's going to do our insurance. And then we'll figure that all out. Then we will bring it back to you and Curtis Township. And if you approve, then we can become a district. And after, that would be after both the county and the township approve Curtis Township and the library and a district. No questions? And I know it's a big. Yeah, I got. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, sorry, go ahead. Please.
I'm assuming 272 and 273 would follow you.
Yes.
Okay. One of the things with the agreement as being requested, the first thing on that is that it indicates that we are interested in joining with the Curtis Township Board to establish a district library.
Correct.
And we don't know that yet.
All it's saying is that you're interested. Curtis Township Board did vote a couple of days ago to say, yes, they're interested. So then and both libraries have voted a resolution in to say that we're interested. So
This is interested in joining.
in joining with the Curtis Township Board to
establish
establish,
a
so then
district library.
that would,
That's a foregone conclusion that I definitely want a district library. If I agree to that, from my perspective, I'm agreeing to, yep, let's do a district library. And I'm not there yet, Denise.
I can understand that.
Do you want to see what it says in the law? You got that from
I've read
a
everything you sent.
sample of,
What I'm saying is though, verbiage on this is what I'm struggling with. And it's just me.
It's
I'm
just
one of
showing
four.
interest that you want to establish one. That doesn't mean that, let's say we come up with an agreement and it says, you know, we ask you for $500,000 more. I don't think that's going to be acceptable to you.
But Denise, the words say to establish a district library. And I'm not ready to necessarily agree to establish a district library.
I understand
When we
that.
looked at this 15 years or so ago,
Mhm.
there were a lot of hurdles to jump, and we decided not to jump them at that time. It makes, on one side, one element, it makes a lot of sense. But in other areas, I'm not sure. I guess one of my questions is, when is your millage up? That's one thing I did not check.
Our millage is up in 2025.
2025. What happens if it doesn't pass?
We have some issues. But what happens if it doesn't pass and we're still a county library? Same thing. I don't think that the county is going to float our ship for a year.
I'm sure we wouldn't float it completely, but we might step in and try to do something to help. And I know you have a little bit of a fund balance too.
Right.
I mean, you might only be able to be opened a short amount of time.
Mhm.
And I can't imagine Kona County not supporting the library. It's always been
I
supported.
hope you're
Very
right.
well. And, you know, you guys do such a great job. You have so many wonderful programs here today. All across the county, not just in Fairfield.
And
And that's one of the outreaches I applaud you for, you and your staff. But does, in this, the Curtis Township one also can't be lost?
That's
When is theirs up?
theirs is up in 2024.
Okay,
So
what happens if they, now, it's a minimum, relatively minimal amount,
it's roughly $30,000, a little bit.
yeah, compared to yours.
Right.
But what happens if that one fails in 24?
In 24, if we don't go to a district
But
library,
if you go to a district and
well,
theirs fails,
first,
what do you do? for
first
your
off,
budget
if
for
we do
25?
not go to the district, as we come in and say, okay, you're a branch. Their millage ceases. There's $30,000
Right.
for the library, both of them. It's just, can't happen. If we go to district library, then we can write it so that money can still be collected through 2024.
Right, I would expect that, yeah.
And ours can be collected till 2025.
Right.
I would hope to go up for a millage for the district in 2024. So then if that one doesn't go through, then we have a chance, hopefully, in 2025. And hopefully, the library won't be doing anything that doesn't please.
What is your perception, or your board's perception right now, of the amount of millage that would go for it in either 2024 or 2025?
I would like to see, and I don't know if it's board perception. I've been told statewide, it's not really feasible to run a library on less than 1.0 mils. So that would be doubling it, but I know that people don't like to be taxed. So I would want to do the math and figure out
What's that?
where between 0.5 and 1.0 we would fall. But 0.5 is roughly the cost of a book for if you own $100,000 house.
With 1.0 budget,
Mhm.
be reasonably comfortable.
I
for-
hope it would be comfortable,
For-
yeah.
For what we call Kona Library right now, and the Curtis, if
Yes.
merged,
I
the one
think-
point would handle it all.
Yeah, because right now in Curtis Township, they have two library merchants. They have the
Right.
county and the Curtis Township. That's 1.0 right now. The whole rest of the county has 0.5.
Right.
Maybe with all the house sales that have been done, maybe 0.5 will remain comfortable. I don't know.
I like the thought, but
Right.
unfortunately.
Okay, anybody else with questions?
Thank you for putting this information together, first of all, this comprehensive is really good. I have one question regarding, payroll services. Payroll services, typically would include management of all of your, healthcare things and everything else, because money gets taken out, and put towards things and paid out to things.
Right?
I just feel like the 1,500,
The
Wait.
payroll services I added in there, and we would have probably an accounting service
Yep.
to do all the bills. And then the payroll service, I got those prices from paychecks.com, and there are other .coms, but
sure,
you give them your hours, they do
Right.
the payroll
And
stuff.
we have some local too.
so,
They do it.
I don't know what other local, but that would be the
Sure.
committee's findings, and they would hopefully amend my budget as needed.
yeah, and I'm not questioning the amount, I'm questioning the amount, but, so the accounting fees for 10,200, you actually got a quote for that from somebody?
I asked an accountant
Yeah.
what they charged. I based it on 10 hours a month. And I'm hoping that we don't have that many bills, but,
Right. So when you started to speak about this, you mentioned that the indirect cost $25,164,
mhm.
which specifically is done to cover what the county does for your payroll and accounting and
But we wouldn't be doing anything.
Yeah. we
no,
would-
that's where I'm going with this, is that if this is the major motivation for making this move, I think that you would end up paying that much or more once you got done with your combined
It
payroll
is.
and
A motivation, it
Okay.
isn't the major,
I only brought it up because you talked about it.
it's more the. If we're going to be able to collect the millage from Curtis Township.
Mhm.
This is, the district library is going to be the only way. And I believe, the reason they contacted us a year ago is because they've gone through, I think it's 6 directors in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
They've been training and training and training.
What's
One
that?
of the members of the board got to know me and said, Kona County, we are a part of it. Why don't we see if they're interested? They were going to basically shut down if I didn't
Okay.
say, hey, yeah, I'll do this.
Yeah, how can we help?
Has it been a lot of work? Yes.
Yeah.
Would I do it again? Probably yes. But, and, if there's a time when they're coming into our circulation system and doing all those other changes, I feel the time is now if we're gonna do it.
Question,
somewhere in all this information you gave us, that I read, there said something about only being one school district,
That's if we ask them to join,
school district.
if we ask the school district to be a part of the district library, which we haven't done yet,
Okay,
there can only be one. So like, because in Kona County, we have Fairview, I think it is, and Muskota, and maybe a little bit of Alpena. We could only ask Kona. Well, we could only ask one of them. How's that?
Sure.
We can't ask, Kona and Muskota, and it just the way the law
Makes
is.
sense, that.
Yeah, it would make sense because they cover the most of the area, but
does that somewhat limit those outside school districts? Under your plan?
no, because, well, in Iosco County, they have a district library in Iosco area.
Okay,
In Alpena, they have a county library, and then over in Mile, they have I think newly district library. I believe
They're-
they
they're
formed
working on
the
it last
district, yes. I believe the 1st of March was their date to start as a district. But they're like, and this one took a month off work, so.
I could not vote for the resolve that you gave us. I can't, number one and number two, I can't. get over that hurdle. But I'm not opposed to having a committee
Well,
pursue
that's,
looking into this.
that's what this would be.
That's
Is
not what it says to me. My reading, my interpretation is not that.
Okay, that's what it says. If you appointed 2 representatives, I would like to suggest a member of my board and a member of your board. My board member is sitting right here, Carrie Turner, and I'd like to suggest Bill Thompson. And then what this says to me is that we are forming a committee. And then number 3 says, then we'll bring it back to you once we have hashed out this agreement and it's acceptable to the committee. Then we bring it out, hashed out, and if you agree, then we're much more well on our way to becoming a district library.
Would you be willing to change the verbiage on a little bit into like for item 1? Instead of that is interested in joining, or I'm sorry,
To establish a
establish
committee to
a
form
district library is what it says. If you say to establish a committee,
a district library committee.
establish to explore. Are you okay with the word explore?
Yeah, if we say to explore,
How about to explore?
the pursuit of a district library.
That sounds
As in,
fine
so
with
Curtis
me.
Township Board to explore district library pursuant to, yeah.
I'll just tell you, Rob.
Oh, sure.
Rob
No,
gets right out
that's
of
why I'm
it.
trying to work with you.
Paper
so.
from the law.
So,
And
Yeah.
according to our lawyer, this does not have to happen, so I'm
Yeah,
thinking
this
the
doesn't
wording
even have
doesn't
to happen.
have to be
We don't need.
what
this
it
for
says it
agreement.
has to be.
Carolyn, does that satisfy you?
on number 1 it does, yeah.
Okay, what else you got?
I'm trying to remember. I tripped over 2. When I went over this a year or 2 ago, from my perspective, it seemed like both 1 and 2 were done deals, if you will, and it was just going to orchestrate getting that into the package. And I think it needs to step back and, as he said, look at what are the options. You've already done that just to an extensive degree, and that's the whole thing.
So what if we don't need 3 at all? And
Because
that
it all-
will appoint 2 representatives to the Kona County to the District Library Planning Committee. That's it.
Sounds
Not
good
with
to
this
me.
charge referring to this library agreement.
If you scratch the which is charged
Yep.
with,
And then the third one doesn't, it isn't even appearing to us yet, really, until we get the information
Get one
from the
and two
Explore
down.
Committee.
yeah,
So,
That's sort of what the library board were discussing. They were gonna, the committee would be used to make sure that the movement towards the district library or staying to the county would be feasible to be able to done. And if it isn't feasible, it would
Yeah,
come to a
like
stop.
if I find out that, you know, we can add 100,000 to our benefits,
I'm fine.
sorry, I'm
comfortable
good
with that.
with not going forward.
I'm comfortable with that.
so item one would be that it is interested in joining with Curtis Township Board to explore a district library pursuant to 1989 PA 24, and item two, that it will appoint two representatives from Kona County to the District Library Planning Committee, which.
Period.
Period. You okay with that?
Fine with me.
How many total are on the committee that you're, this stuff?
As of right now, there were two that they said, it would be 4, but if you wanted, say, hey, you want 6 or 7? To me, if you have 4 people in a room, you have, you know, it's going to be much easier than 15 people in a room. So
Four or
if
five,
we're going to do it, I want to do it quickly and efficiently, not belabor each
Yep.
point. And hopefully we can get there by 6 months from now and have a good answer, one way or the other.
Well, it's, then right now we'll say we'll appoint Bill. Maybe we do this, Bill? I didn't even ask. She said your name. She said your name.
It's on the library, who cares?
I'll let you.
So we could say appoint Bill or William, sorry. And
Carrie.
Karen.
K-E-R-R-I.
K-E-R-R-I. Okay, thanks.
All right.
We'll try to take care of this right now, or you want to throw it in new business?
While it's fresh. Make a motion that we create the resolution or do the resolution that was presented to us written with the adjustments.
I'll read it.
Go ahead.
Bill is proposing that we resolve, make a motion to, not resolve. That is interested in joining the Curtis Township Board to explore a district library pursuant to 1989 PA 224, and that it will appoint Bill and Carrie from Kona County to the District Library Planning Committee. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call with that.
Drummond,
Yes,
Brady,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thanks, James. Thank you.
Next item.
One question on the floodplain.
Yep.
Can we, because there's two parts, two things. Airstone is also applied to the same.
Yep.
We should together.
Sure. Well, we should vote on them separately, really.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, we'll do it
they
at the same
both
time.
say that they're after the same outcome.
So,
they both have the maps in.
so here's a protocol question, because I'm not as smart as I should be. In the last meeting, there was something happened to put a hold on the signing or cancel the signing of the Kona Township floodplain agreement. Do we undo that, or do we start over and do a new sign?
Did we ever get maps? That was one of the questions that we were supposed to get. They kept saying that Marlena had her.
Well, let's do this. I'm gonna make, I'm worried about protocol here first.
Mhm.
The very beginning of the meeting, something was said.
In a minute. Oh, there it is.
reconsider the Oakland County Township pending review of the FEMA maps. So now a motion to, we need a motion, it's already all signed is what I'm saying. Do we have to start over and sign again, or can we make a motion?
Well, this does not authorize you to sign.
Okay, so can I make a motion to allow the previous signatures? And then we can talk about this. So I'm gonna make a motion to deactivate, I don't know where the signature as was handled in the first presentation of the Kona Township floodplain agreement. I'll make that motion.
And I'll support.
Move to support it. Now discussion. So, Dan looked at this quite a bit, sent us an email. He talked to Tom Michael. And what this is cookie cutter. What we've done all the time is floodplain management. What perked up his ears was that, you know, it lists in there, the building department has some responsibilities. What, it doesn't make us so we can't continue ahead with this, but what we do have to do is get this worked out between the building department and the townships, because the zoning administrator should have the ultimate say at first.
At first.
If they come in and approve it, the county is then an assumption that everything is okay. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But if they, two things. One, we've been doing this already since 2012. Basically, we had contracts with, and our building department has been functioning with that same verbiage. Maps changed a little bit, possibly for the high water, low levels and so forth. But we've been doing the same. Now, if the responsibility falls on the township zoning person first, because everybody that does something to their property is supposed to go to the township to get a zoning permit. At that time, it should be caught, let's check your map on the flood thing, and okay, if it falls through that gap and they get a zoning permit and it goes to the permits for building, the responsibility of our end would only be, did you check, you know, to ask that person or see some permit for the flooding thing, and then if they didn't, they would be sent back to the.
That's the way it should be. But my understanding is that with the building department, the only thing that changes is how they manage their, we have currently Carrie takes care of the runoff of building site. It's different rules, a little bit different rules for the soil.
Right.
That's really the only way it impacts the building department. Building department can't say you can't build here if zoning says you can. But they come in and it is found, okay, they are in a floodplain. Then Carrie has to do different rules to, you know, make sure they put the stakes up right and guards and the screening and everything else. That's my understanding. So.
One of my questions was, at what point do we get the maps so we can intelligently look at them? And
I thought I saw some maps. Did you get sent some maps? I remember looking
I'm
at
not
maps,
aware.
but
Either way.
they're available. Oh, Marlene sent a link. That's what it was.
Okay.
There's a link that you can get on to the National Wetlands. I don't know what it's called, but you name it. You can look it up and you can zoom in on any area and it shows you the boundaries.
And each township should have them, the assessors, and or the township should have the
Yeah.
floodplain maps.
I do as the Dustin guy, so. He's got the Pine River. Shores.
May I ask what the motion is that's on the floor right now?
Oh, please don't make me repeat that.
The motion is to reactivate the signature from before, or
Authorization to sign,
Approve
or approve
the
signature.
former signature.
And it was seconded.
Okay, yep, so if everybody's done talking, we can vote on it. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Along with that, we have a similar document from City of Harrisville.
I was just looking at that while we're talking, and it's almost a word for word
They get that from,
from the
Yeah.
state, right? All there is a signature page on the back that they deleted, and
so somebody wants to make a
I
motion
would
to
move
accept.
to authorize the chair to sign the agreement to manage floodplain development with the city of Harrisville.
I'll support.
Who supported? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried.
And I'm assuming we will get any of the other townships up and down the area.
I would hope everybody that's got floodplain issues should be coming to us with this stuff. So those things. Then we'll move into new business. Now we kind of get some stuff for the claims. I will make a motion to approve pre-authorized claims and open claims presented for payment between March 2nd, 2022 and March 15th, 2022. The check numbers 146,899 to 147,040, and each check number is 1807-1813, for a grand total of $864,961.37. Seconded. Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? It's very high because we did our ACCOA payout for taxes. All right, roll call please.
Brumman,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes,
Thompson,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
motion carries. Next item, opioid committee and fund creation.
I'm continuing to look through the legal chart of the council. And I've narrowed it down to 2 or possibly 3. I know what the strong one I want to, and I will forward that to finance committee as soon as I have it.
Unfinished for next time. Stephanie, if you would. Next item is, okay, so last week we were presented with 2 projects for ARPA funds. The first being data management system for the prosecutor's office. I just would like to have confirmation from the committee that these are allowable.
From what we can look at, they fall under government services and the other one would be under broadband type thing.
Okay. So the first one is the software upgrade for the prosecutor's office. Anybody like to make a motion to go ahead with that project?
I make a motion that we approve the what do they call it? Management system, data management system for the prosecuting attorney.
Motion by Bill, second by Terry. Any discussion? Okay, let's do a roll call.
Brady,
Do we have that with me? Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
The next item is the proposal from the same type of situation for new Wi-Fi equipment for the building.
Make that motion.
Motion by Bill, second by Terry. Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call please.
Brumman,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Motion carries. Next item from the Personnel Committee. We have, well,
No, I just, we have 2 items to bring
yeah,
forward.
go ahead.
One is we have, as we went through COVID, we have some folks working from home with the assistance of our IT department. They were able to make the necessary connections and so on. We feel that that's probably not appropriate at this time. And so we would offer the motion, move to cease work from home options effective immediately. Exceptions may be made with the concurrence of the IT director and the chairman of the board of commissioners, or the IT director and the judge, if it were a court.
Support.
Motion by Carolyn, supported by Bill.
What we're doing is going back to what we had prior to COVID. And I'm working at home.
That was not any kind of an official policy before COVID happened.
yes, it was.
It was, if it was.
The personnel policy states that a department has the capability of allowing individuals to work from home. But that is in the personnel policy.
This is different, correct?
Not sure.
Most of these are all in place right now. People who are working.
Is anybody working from home right
Yes, we have to do that.
now?
So
And
after
and
this,
they meet this criteria pretty much.
so after this is voted, do I have to go through and the judge and I have to go through and make documents of
No,
support for
you
this?
don't, no due respect, you don't get to vote on the board.
That's what I said, the judge and I.
No, I'm saying no.
No.
Not on the court, people.
No, I know. but
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Collectively, yes. You do she
Separately.
does the judge, the court ones, and you do all the other ones, but there aren't that many. And they're already established pretty much. Would need to concur with the ones that are established with John.
Any more discussion?
Will this, I guess, will this take away, no, you said this option is still there, okay, all right. No.
Okay, it's a pretty serious one, I think. Let's do a roll call.
Thompson,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes,
Brady.
No. Motion carries.
one of the large elements here is protection of our internet. That John is so. He tries very hard to make sure we don't get an infection, a virus or anything, and it was a great deal with his guidance that is involved.
Well, the yeas have it, so
The other one that we bring forward is move to approve life insurance benefits be offered to department heads, directors who are either traditional full-time or on-call 24/7 department heads and directors. So moved.
Support.
moved and supported to offer life insurance to part-time. Whatever she said.
Well, yeah, and one would ask if you really are on call 24/7 part-time already.
This applies to one person,
Yes.
just one person that we know.
Well, there's only one individual who fulfills.
Yeah, required, yeah. So I'm asking.
I have reservations because loopholes tend to like to pop up on me, especially lately. But let's discussion. Anybody else have anything to say? Hearing none, let's do a roll call on this also.
Small,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Brady.
No. Nothing against Jeff, but
You're on a roll.
I just know there's gonna be somebody's gonna call me next week and say, hey, where's my life insurance?
Well,
But
I
that's
think
what
the
it is.
question is, do you fit the guideline?
Like I said, that's nothing, Jeff does a fantastic job, and I don't have
It's
anything
not,
against it.
it's not about Jeff.
It's not.
The fact that he's a 24/7 person.
Okay, well, motion carries, so we're moving on. Finance report, I don't have a lot to say here. If Cheryl has anything to add, I would be greatly appreciative.
I do, as a matter of fact, at the last meeting, I was asked to present some information in regards to revenue loss. I was not able to email these. I apologize because the charts and the different things were a little bit tough to put together with all the spreadsheets. I do have extras available for anyone who is interested. This is, excuse me, basically an overview of our cash flow from 2017 to 2021. The very thin line that's running up and down, and I don't know if you guys anybody wants a copy, but there are some right here. This is showing the cash flow that we've had, the revenues and expenditures for Kona County increasing on a regular yearly basis because we've been using our fund balance. The other pages that are included in there is a summary from 2016 to 2021. The very first page, hopefully I got them all on the right page. The very bottom line shows the amount of fund balance utilized. This is a very comprehensive report, kind of jumbles everything. This is the revenue that we have had to utilize from our fund balance for the last few years. There are some grayed out areas that are exceptional areas that need explanation, and looking at it the way it is here, you're really not gonna grasp the whole picture without getting the details of what those particular line items are. Unless you've been working with it for the past 10 years, 15 years. But there is a lot of information, and I'm more than welcome to share anything that anybody needs to know about that. The second grouping of papers are the increases in the salaries, operating supplies, and employer costs that have caused us to need to use the fund balance in order to balance the budget. And there's a lot of caveats in these. I mean, every year we have something new and exciting that happens. We had a lot of COVID funding last year in 2020, between 2020 and 2021. And in 2017, 2016 or 2017, I'm sorry if my dates are not exactly on, but we did have a settlement from a suit that the county was involved in that allowed us additional funding for the next year. But if you notice, there's never been a year in here that we haven't utilized fund balance to balance the budget and pay the bills. And it's very detailed, and I'll be able to, now that I have this together, I just wanted to get the information that I was asked to everybody, and I can put it together in a little bit easier to read format, but I'm just not there yet because it's a lot of information and going through all the costs. Just kind of a overview of the salary increases in the past 6 years have increased about $105,000, and they're all dedicated to that one page that has the salaries on it. The operating supplies obviously have gone down, and there are certain circumstances. For example, multi-county costs within the trial court. Back in 2016, there was a reformation of the courts. They went from individual departments to a trial court. And so some of those costs were allocated in different areas. So it looks like there's a savings of 20,000, but they were put into a different area. So these are some of the things that, looking at this straight line, you know, all these questions can be answered. But they have to be on an individual basis, and I didn't highlight anything on the individuals because there's just so many caveats to restructuring that we've gone through, and new hires and retirements, which is, so it overall, it basically looks as though our daily operating has been reduced 109,000. Some of those costs, it's true. Education was taken out of a lot of the budgets, so that was part of the normal operating costs. There's just a whole plethora of different things that I will group a little easier for reading purposes, but I haven't had the opportunity to do that. The employer costs is one that has increased about $400,000 in the last 6 years. I'm not gonna comment on that one. That's including hospital insurance, retirement, termination and leave pay. There is, like I said, there's quite a few retirements in the past 6 years. A lot of new hires in the last 6 years, and So this was kind of a for everybody's information to have it available, and then any details that need to be worked out after that. Questions that you have, I'm more than happy to answer, but I would ask that you give me an opportunity to put this together in an easier to read format. And I will be working on that. But for now, this is all of it. Everything's here. I know it was an issue with the PILT money and the questions in regards to that, that may or may not have been the impetus for the request. But it is good to know where we are, where we've been, and where we're moving forward. I believe for transparency that there's not a thing you could ask me that I wouldn't answer, honestly, to the best of my knowledge, as far as the revenues coming in. There's one in particular on the first page of the revenues is a Homeland Security grant. We did do it. We have not participated in the last few years, obviously, with different things happening, but we had managed that grant. And so we were getting money for that. I mean, these are just different things that people don't realize. Back in 2016, the revenue sharing, we were coming to the end. There was a process that started in 2013, or I'm sorry, 2009, that ended in 2016. That was our final payment that we had saved up from that 1 year where they switched the taxes. There's a lot of little misnomers in here that you might construe that we're looking at. Well, we lost $243,000 in revenue over the last 6 years. We really didn't. It just got back to where it should have been originally. So those are the kind of things that I want to make a little more clear for everybody, so they're understanding where we are and where we're going to be heading. That's all I have.
So this graph right here.
Yeah.
The squiggly line is when you come to us in May and June, you say, well, we're negative until tax money comes in, that's what squiggly line is, right?
Cash.
Yeah.
This is the cash flow. I mean, I didn't highlight everybody's and I couldn't figure out how to get the printer to print color because it was really pretty
No,
in blue and red.
It
But
Looks
I highlighted mine.
looks good to me. That's a pretty good representation of how it works. Good, this is awesome.
I'm just curious,
Pardon?
how long does it take to put this together?
Days. Couple days.
Couple days?
A lot of it last night. The graph.
Looks good.
Thank you, Cheryl.
Yeah, thanks.
Nicely done.
Anything else?
Yeah. I got it.
Is there some money you gotta move around or anything like that? Something to vote on? I don't think so. For once.
Not that I know.
All right, well, we'll call that end of finance. We'll go on to personnel, which is already informed me they don't have anything to report, right? Correct.
Right, you did already.
And if you have anything additional to say. Cheryl,
I
now is your
do,
change.
I do. We talked last week about taxes being, townships being completed. We have all the information in. We've been collecting payments from the townships. There's been small issues in each township in regards to settlement, just nothing major, all fixed up. We're working on getting the dollar amounts. So I would ask, I know in the past for settlement payments, I've come to the board. I don't know that I will be able to allow, I don't have a number at this time, but once, I mean, that's what we're gonna be working on for the next few weeks, getting the numbers to everybody that needs the payouts, and I would ask the board allow those payments to be put through. The funds are available in the delinquent, in the 100% tax collection fund. And overall, it's looking very similar. Last year, I believe it was 1.3 million that we had to pay out to all the entities. And it is there's nothing outstanding that looks like it's gonna be anything more than that. And that's what was budgeted for, was I think it was 1.37. And anything about that, I would ask, I will come to the board, but for that portion, allow that, the amounts to be paid out for the delinquent tax expenses to the municipalities. That's the proper way to do it. I've had numbers before, I don't know.
Okay.
Or go through finance.
Oh, you're asking how to proceed?
You want to vote the motion?
I want
Uh,
something saying that I can pursue the payments and get them
oh,
the
yeah,
checks cut.
I'll make a motion to, shoot the payments, check stuff. Move to seconded. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Thompson,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Brumman.
Yes.
Did it twice. Quit picking on me.
Sorry.
Anything else, Cheryl? What the clerk's report?
Yeah. I don't have anything to report, it's fine.
All right. Well, the communications next, you can look at your packets and review at your leisure. We'll move on to committee reports, and we'll start with, Terry.
Yes, I attended the vets. Veterans Amendment Board. They're requesting, they made a motion at their meeting to go from 5 members to 7 members. This is something new, it's just started. They want a few more members on it to for information purposes, I believe, more than likely. I'm bringing it to the board, so if you're aware of it. They're also requesting a member be on the study board that was checking into the building. They're requesting that. Also attended mental health. They're on the total mask off process. Actually have to meet people and know what they look like. That's all I got.
Okay, I'll go next. I want to talk a little more about those veterans. There is some progress on, well, we're waiting on MDOT basically. So waiting on MDOT to hear back what's gonna happen next. How does it work? To add members to the board like that? And they vote on their own, or we have to approve that?
Well, we would have, but I haven't read the, I don't know what there is law, what their public access. Now. I don't know that. What is their public access?
To be honest.
I'll look it up. So if you guys could find out what the public, how that works, you know, how to, if you can add 2 members and then send your recommendations to us so we can make the appointments,
Okay,
you know, send us a written,
well, we did find out we can have 7,
okay.
so that's why.
Yeah, so just if you could do it in writing, you know, who you want to appoint, and then we can make the,
Okay, well, first, okay, as long as we get you okay to go forward, we have to put an ad in the paper. and,
oh, I see.
We just can't,
You don't have anybody in mind, you're just
well,
trying to.
we've had veterans come and are interested in being on our board, yeah, on our committee. And what we do, the process is to interview them. And then we pick them and come to you guys for approval.
I guess then we need to give them all.
Make a motion, depending on the, what's the word you use, Carolyn? Well, you said something, the official that said you can have more people.
Oh, we can just wait till they come back to us in 2 weeks. But we would like to do it.
They don't really need a motion just to unless they're looking for approval of going out to get to more people.
Yeah, but we can advertise, I guess, there's gonna be a motion for that. I don't think you need a permission to advertise for board members.
No, I wouldn't think so.
And
but,
then,
You get the names up.
statute, if you can get us a copy, if Tony can dig up the copy of that statute
All
that
right.
you referenced, that would be a big help.
Okay, that'll be a start.
Figure out the word.
Mhm.
All right, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry. That was-
You did too. It's like work with Daniel, huh?
On the points for the study-
Let's start that one.
I don't know what.
study board.
Oh, let's let them, with the same time, send a recommendation. Send us a recommendation. You want to be on the committee for the building expansion.
I sort of assumed Jerry would be one of them.
Well,
Aren't you liaison?
he is, you're there.
They're asking the actual court, I'm the liaison, yes, but they're asking for an actual member who sits on the veteran board to be part of the study board. The study for the bill.
Yeah, just send me a recommendation. Well,
Because we have the committee. And
Yep.
Yeah.
and that's it for me for committee reports. So what do you got, Bill?
Well, we applied for and we now have $2,000 grant from Eagle for the tire recycling this year, which will be May 21st. And I'll fill out the proper paperwork for grants, but it's been approved for $2,000 for that. Thunder Bay Transit, that one, they wrote a grant and received it. It's $1.5 million to fix the roof on that building that they had that's leaked like that. I was asked by Dan to go sit at the school with the forest department and the school about Sprinkler Lake. And they're still looking for a group or a bunch of people to sort of take over Sprinkler Lake. They don't really want to lose it, but they've got some pretty stiff requirements. For example, if you're a group that wants to work on it, they want like a $40,000 deposit, you might say. They want the idea that when the lease is over, now they're willing to go like 20 or 30-year leases, but when their lease is over, they want the buildings in good shape. They don't want to receive a dump pile. So they only had they did this once before, and they only had one organization in the county come forward, and they couldn't meet the criteria that they had set down. And the federals are pushing to do something with it. And so they're looking at different groups, combinations of partner up on it. So there'll be another meeting later on in April, I think it is. How many buildings there are, what conditions there are, and so forth. That's what I haven't been out there once.
Okay, we got Carolyn.
Not that much, 211. Working on some contracts and stuff for them. Sunrise is going to Zoom this next week. Bill and I've been working on needs for EMS and for 214. Harbor Town got all their, we're waiting to try and make sure we can get someone to do the steps going up from the DHHS office. Incident where the snow came down and broke off some plumbing and stuff, and that now has been fixed.
Okay. We'll go into our last public comment, 5 minutes, state your name and your township. Sure.
My name's Kevin Perry. I'm with Curtis Township. The Curtis Township Board asked me to sit on the board exploring the Curtis Township Library to be made into a district library. So want to thank you guys for approving the motion to at least explore that option. I will say right now, I am not committed either way on that. I'm still acquiring. Sorry about that. I thought I muted it. I'm not committed either way. I want to agree with the board. One concern I have is how we're going to handle the millages and what happens, who's going to have the millage, all that. I'm also need to get a copy of the Curtis Township Board budget because I want to see how that's going to change. Another concern I know our township supervisor has is the township owns the property that library sits on. And they've been exploring the possibility of co-locating the township hall on that property. Possibly even building it onto that building so that they could share some of the fixed costs and services. It sounds like a good idea. They're just exploring it. So, but the question is, will making that a district library eliminate that as an option? That's what I think, but well, that's why we're here, is to learn about such things. And finally, with regard to that, one of my concerns is personnel is one of the things I've heard is a constant problem for our library. And I would want to understand better how making it a district library is going to eliminate that problem, because having someone come from Harrisville to Curtis Township is not going to be a solution on an everyday basis, because I don't think you pay those people that enough to pay for the gas to make that commute. Just throwing that out there. And I want to compliment you on sprinkler, like I did talk. I also happen to be on the Conservation District Board. I did talk to that gentleman. It would be great if they could do something with that. One thing he mentioned was make it into a park. And I think that would be a really good option.
Just technically you're not.
No.
Sorry.
The park was mentioned, but they were talking more on some RV parking versus an open park like a state park. They didn't really want to go to state park.
I like the idea because they all go through plenty to get there. So, that's it. Thank you very much for your time, guys.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I mean, Lisa Turek, Harrisville Township. A couple of things. I wanted to know why the library asked for Bill Thompson to be on their committee. Is he?
Because he's on our liaison committee.
Okay, that's what I wanted to ask.
He has also been a library goer since I've been at the library, so at least 7 years, but he's been walking club, so I think that's been going on for almost 20 years now.
Just curious. I didn't
Yeah,
know.
that was.
That's fine. I didn't want to
Nothing
know.
else.
No, that's, I just wanted to know. I didn't know.
Inquiring
Yeah, exactly. Also, I saw something on, this is on floodfactor.com about Alcona County. It says there's 1,230 properties in Alcona County that have greater than a 26% chance of being affected by flooding over the next 30 years. This only represents 6% of all properties in Alcona County. So they also listed as a minor risk. Alcona County has minor risk of flooding over the next 30 years. So it seems like there's not a whole lot of risk for flooding in Alcona County, according to this. But the other thing is there's a group of us that have took a list of who voted in Alcona County, compared it against who was registered to vote in Alcona County. We did it for all the townships. We've gotten with a couple of township clerks to check with the anomalies that we got, people who were registered, who were not registered that voted, checking to make sure that everything's okay. We've gotten together, I think, with two of the clerks. One, we're waiting on, when she has time to do it, and we'd like to get with all the other clerks just to clean up anything that was kind of anomalous in the list of what we had done. There was probably, I don't know, I'd say 6 to 10 in each township of people that were not on the list of registered voters, but they actually voted in Alcona County. So, and then the last thing I wanted to say is that there is also a Nye County in, it was Nye County, Nevada was the first in America. This was yesterday to vote unanimously 5-0. Their county commissioners to ban the use of electronic voting machines, beginning in the primaries. Secure paper ballots with anti-counterfeit measures to be used henceforth. So it might be something that your county might be being asked for, our county in the future, to get rid of the electronic voting machines and go to paper ballots. Okay, so that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Everybody else?
Adam, Scott Rice.
Yeah, Scott, go ahead.
Hi, Adam. How are you folks today? I got quite a few things for you, if I may. Our remount ambulance should be ready to come out of Muskegon on the 21st of March. And then it'll get back to Grand Ledge. They'll do the graphics and the radios. And hopefully by April 1, we'll have it and we'll get it serviced, in service, and get it licensed by the state of Michigan. There was a grant through the Treasury Department for EMT or EMS education I've applied for that. I'm still waiting for an answer on that one. The fiber optics project is coming along pretty good. We've got the wire into the building. It's just not hooked up yet. Monday, the 14th of March, they were supposed to be down at Barlow and 72 to make the connection with the Merit system, and then they'll come to us and get that hooked up. So we could be operational with the new fiber by the end of the month. One of the ladies in the audience just talked about flooding. We just got our paperwork back from the state. FEMA approved our hazard mitigation plan for the county. And yes, flooding is pretty small percentile here in the county, but probably the biggest risk we have is the Mayo Dam breaking and then breaking the subsequent dams downriver. And on that note, the 5 counties that are affected by that dam system are going to work with Consumers Energy on June 22nd. We're going to have a functional exercise in the 5 counties. We're going to open up all 5 EOCs. Representatives from consumers will be at all 3 of the EOCs, and we're going to do a functional exercise to see how that's going to go. Getting back to the hazard mitigation plan, FEMA says we got to get this approved by March 22nd. I know that's next week. You folks don't have a meeting till April the 6th, but we got to get it approved or we're going to lose our grant funding and they're not going to pay for it. I don't know if you want to do an adoption today and I can get you the paperwork, or if you need to have a special meeting between now and the 22nd. And that's all I've got at the moment for you.
Okay, what's the deadline on the FEMA thing?
I'm sorry, Adam, your connection broke up for a moment.
The deadline on the FEMA paperwork?
Yeah, they've got to have it back by Tuesday, the 22nd. I've got the adoption resolution in front of me. I just got the email at 2:09 p.m. from the state.
What changes were in it, Scott, or modifications?
Yeah, he didn't give me the breakdown, or he didn't give me the completed document back yet. I'm just trying to get that from him. But basically, if we don't get it approved by the 22nd, we lose the grant funding, and all the work we've done for the last 18 months will go for nothing.
We'll take motion.
I will move to approve the plan as submitted to us and authorize the chair to sign.
Support. Motion and second. Any other discussion? Okay, let's do a roll call.
Small,
Yes.
Thompson,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Scott. Anybody else on the
Scott,
internet? Oh, sorry.
Scott, what's the date of the functional exercise?
June 22nd. June 22nd.
Thank you.
Scott, you have
June 22nd?
No, it's January. I'll have to get with, I'll have to call him later, since I'll have to bill, go sign that.
I'm back, Adam. My connection froze. I said thank you, and I'll bring that paperwork over to Stephanie, and then I can get that back to the state.
Okay, all right, very good, thank you. Anybody else, 5 minutes?
Just a-
Well, I'm gonna get you ready on the commissioner additional comments, just make sure everybody else.
Does Dan want to talk? I thought he was up.
Looks like he's not trying to talk, no.
He was.
I'll talk. Could I talk?
Yeah, let's go.
Just give everybody just a little bit more update on that floodplain issue. You know, in working with Tom Wyko and emailing and talking to the gentleman from Eagle that's in charge of the floodplain. Basically, all this document is just redoing the document that was issued out in 2012 regarding floodplain areas in Alcona County in various townships. The whole caveat of this is that zoning administrators in those townships, when they, when a person obtains a zoning permit from them, they basically write down the address, the property ID number, the size of the structure, in that. If it isn't a floodplain and the zoning administrator does not notify that person and does not have that on that zoning permit that it isn't a floodplain area, It comes to Carrie in the office. All she sees is the property ID number, address. She issues the permit. There's no way that she's gonna go and look up every address, look up every property ID number and find out if it is in a floodplain area. You know, so what Tom's concerned about, I'm concerned about, is over the last 7, 8 years, has there been buildings built in floodplain areas? And if they are, the state of Michigan has specific building requirements for structures built in floodplains. Those need to be followed. So I think it's of the utmost importance that we get with the building department and all the zoning administrators that have floodplains in their area and bring them into a meeting so this can get handled, because Harrisville, city of Harrisville, I don't even know if they have a zoning administrator. Do they even go to the site, or they just issue a land use permit? Haynes, Hawes, Greenbush. The gentleman from Eagle said that every township within the county that has a floodplain in that township would have been given this application for us to sign. We received 2 now. So, it's an issue for liability of the county as far as I'm concerned. If indeed structures are built within a floodplain issue and not built to specific requirements of required by the state of Michigan, because nobody knew it was in a floodplain and nobody's really gonna look it up. So there's an issue there, just so you guys know. Also, just to give everybody an idea on the MDOT and down at the EMS building, I've worked with John Langley, the guy from MDOT, the engineer. I've submitted 3 different drawings to him where I thought would be potential accesses from off of 72 to potential buildings on that site. He has informed me that he has received them all. He likes what he sees, and he's moved it on to the other engineers within MDOT to look at that. This is really not what they do, but they're willing to look at it and give a verbal yes or no of the possibility there. Once the snow is all melted and everything, if they do indeed give us approval to do it, then there's going to be on-site, measurements and stakes put in and all that kind of stuff. But it's in their hands right now, and he assured me that we should get it back. I expect it back this week. And, I'll let you know. And my only other question is a concerned citizen of the county is our library has been working just excellent as a county library. Why, nobody's asked why the change? Why do we need to change? If we have something that's not broken and working so well, why would we want to go through all these hoops of making it a district library if it's not really needed? That's just a question. That's all.
Hey, thanks, Dan. Everybody else? All right, hearing none. Commissioners, closing comments. Bill?
The library has been working with a lawyer out of Lansing, I believe, to get their ducks in a row on pros and cons. So it's not that it's not being looked at professionally.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, meeting adjourned.
Sit down, don't go, please.
Oh, that's a lot yesterday meeting?
Yours, well, thank you. Still don't spend money on it.
Yeah, please do.
I would think that.